Hello team, this is the second video where I'm gonna show you all the documents and basic commands to deploy the services. So first we got Terraform, which is the file where I have, the infrastructure as a service technology I use to deploy my objects directly on AWS, so I don't have to do it like manually or in the UI. Let me show you the document. I'm not gonna deep directly into each document, just a brief overview. If you want me to create a separate video for each technology, please comment. And first we got Terraform and provider, access, secret key. In this case, I just take out those for you to insert the access and secret key and run the same services. I got all the objects I want from Amazon, and let's see directly on Amazon. So I get an EC2 instance, and the instance type is T2 micro. This instance is low resources, which means it's kind of difficult to run different technologies on the same instance. So for that reason, I create a swap file to move the resources from the RAM to this swap file. I'm gonna show you as well the script for this process. And let's move on to the S3 bucket. I also have an S3 bucket which have the roles and permissions to communicate with the EC2 instance. I also have a service on route 53 where I have my domain, the IP address, everything to start working directly with Amazon. You can host the domain as well on different sites, but I used Amazon. Important to notice, you will be charged $0.5 monthly for this service. Okay, this is the first stage. You got Terraform, then you create those services, and now is the first part of how I build this workflow or architecture. I take a repository from GitHub. I have an customized image and Docker Compose file to build a Docker container instead of deploying Docker directly in the host machine. I also have some bash files to install the dependencies directly without doing it manually. Let me show you here. This is the repository. First, I want to show you the Docker file. This is customized just to install the dependencies based on the customer needs. So here I just install Docker inside of this Jenkins container. Why? Because I need to execute some Docker commands, but I don't want these commands to execute inside of the container. Right? The Docker commands won't take place inside of this container. I'm sharing the Docker socket to interact directly with the Docker daemon I have on my host machine. This is the volume where I'm sharing this socket, and Docker will interact with the Docker outside of the container, the Docker container. This is the script to install everything on the machine, the dependencies you need. Some scripts to delete the images, the containers in case you fail on the installation. Some instructions as well on how to perform this. And this is the important part when you have a low resources instance. This is a file to create a swap file. So in this case, you're just transferring the load from the RAM to this swap file. In case you got out of the resources or the EC2 instance got overloaded, the resources will be transferred to this swap file, and the instance won't get stuck or got down. We take place through these steps, and now we got Jenkins install. So for example, here I got here I got the Jenkins repository, and I just need to run these scripts, and Jenkins will be installed directly on the machine, right? Now let me show you here. Okay, we got the pipe. Well, after we got Jenkins deploy install, you will see this part. Well, you'll have to like install the plugins and the password. If you want, I can do a separate video as well to install this directly on your machine. This is the first pipeline where you can first create a pipeline to pull the repository where you have the project, build the images, and transfer this directly to Docker Hub, which is the first pipeline. I also have set the Docker Hub credentials previously. I can do a separate video for that as well. Stages, all these steps to take the repository, build the image, and well, push the images directly to Docker Hub. We also have a GitHub trigger or webhook. I can show you here as well. Just need to configure a webhook with the URL, and also, well, for example, you do a push event and the pipeline will start creating the images directly. Let me show you here. For example, yeah, here. The senior developer approve a pull request on the main branch, master branch. GitHub will build the images, push it to GitHub, and then we can continue with the next pipeline, which is the run container, or well, create the containers. Here I just create this pipeline to execute after the first pipeline creation. If this is stable, we can run this pipeline and it just have the instructions to clone the repository and execute the scripts or commands on a different order. Let me show you the repository really quick. So for example, we got here, and in this part I have several containers and services to deploy directly on my machine. In this part I can explain Nginx in two containers, which is the Nginx proxy, which will take place here. For example, a customer do a request to our server, right? This is the only one exposed on the port 80 and 4043, right? All the requests based on the configuration will go directly to the secure port 443, right? And based on the request, Nginx will direct the request to the container with the environment variable. Let me show you. For example, we got this variable virtual host, which is the variable that Nginx proxy will take into account, for example, to direct the requests. I only have this container to receive requests because I have an extra Nginx configuration file, which you can see here. For example, you see this part on www.pablodevops.com, and it will direct to HTTPS. So that's this part. We also have some other services based on the name of the container. It will take place on the IP address inside Docker. This is another video for more explanation on this part, but it's just a brief summary on how I have set the services. Okay, we got this part as well. And the last part of this document is Let's Encrypt, which is a container that allows us to have like the domain secure, right? Let me show you. As you can see here, I have my domain secure by Let's Encrypt, and well, everything is just set automatically. You don't have to pay for this. You can set it as I have it in this file. We can do also a tutorial for this part. Okay, this is the second part, the second pipeline. After this, we got the app deployed. Let me show you. Yeah, for example, you get some user sensors, user guides. Let me get out. You can register, right? And you can see all the information here. That's pretty much about the app. This is just a test app to show you how it works, but on professional apps or projects, it will be the same architecture, taking into account how many containers or services the customer wants to deploy. All right, and lastly, I have this part, which is like a backup on Postgres, and send this information directly to an S3 bucket. You can set a cron job to, well, kind of automate this process. Let me show you the script I have for this. It is set right here. So you will execute this command on the container that has the database. You will use in user, the user you have for this database, the database name, and it will take the data from that, all the data you have stored in this database, and copy to the volume, or well, the space you have on your machine. If you have a separate volume, that's better, because, well, for security reasons. After this, I got an AWS command just to copy this file and send it to an S3 bucket. As you can see here, I got my backup file, which will run every 24 hours. I can, well, I have a cron job for this. Then you can use, well, the, let's see, okay. And here you can choose, for example, you have 5 parameters. That's hours, days, months. For example, if I want to run my command every single minute, I will place this. If you want it every 24 hours, you can configure this as well. You just need to set the path. For example, my script is in home, users, and backup file .sh, right? And it will execute based on the instructions I have here. Well, that's it for this side. Let's see if we have something missing. Well, I think that's everything from this video. If you want me to like deep into one topic or set the credentials, the security TLS certificate, I can create a new video for this. Thank you for the time, and bye bye.